Shalom, my name is Leontine Cohen-Pauka and I'm a licensed guide in Israel and France. During the COVID-19 period, I decided to make a series of short movies about Israel. The series is called In the Footsteps of. Today the movie is called In the Footsteps of Sarah Aaronsohn. She is one of the most famous Israeli spies. What risks did she take? What were her achievements? How did it end? Let's discover this together. Our movie starts in the period of World War I that lasted from 1914 until 1918. In that time, this country was part of the Turkish Empire. The Turks had sided with the Germans and Austrians, and the British, based in Egypt, fought against them. We are now going a little back in time. Sarah Aaronsohn was born in the village of Zichron Yaakov in 1890. Her parents had arrived here from Romania in 1882. They were part of the first wave of Jewish immigrants that arrived into this country. The village they built was one of the 4 villages built by this group of new immigrants. The country was still called Palestine, a country that was part of the huge Turkish Empire. The settlers of Zichron Yaakov tried to farm the land, but they were inexperienced. The land was full of rocks and the swamps brought malaria mosquitoes. In 1883, the French Baron of Rothschild stepped in to help them. He named the town in memory of his father, whose name was Yaakov. Zichron Yaakov means memorial for Yaakov. Vineyards were planted, a school and a synagogue were built, and additional land was bought. The Aaronsohn family had 6 children, and one of their sons, Aaron, became a well-known agronomist and botanist. Sarah grew up to become a sportive young woman. She was also an excellent student, and she felt a great love for her country to be Israel. She had a very close and strong relationship with her 5 brothers and sisters. She studied languages, but also agriculture and botany with her brother Aaron in the experimental farm he established in Atlit, between Zichron Yaakov and the Mediterranean Sea. In 1914, Sarah married Chaim Abraham, an older and wealthy man. They moved to Istanbul, but they were not happy, and she came back to Zichron Yaakov in 1915. On her way back, she witnessed part of the Armenian deportation and genocide by the Turks. She was convinced that the Jews would meet the same fate as the Armenians if nothing was done to stop them. She and her siblings put their hopes on Great Britain and believed that the British were the right alternative for the corrupt and murderous occupation of the Turks that had lasted for 400 years. So they decided to become spies and to assist the British during the war. They formed a spy ring that they called Nili, N-I-L-I, from the words Netzach Israel Lo Yeshaker. This phrase can be found in the book of Samuel and means the eternity of Israel will not deceive. The core of the group was formed by Sarah, her 2 brothers, and 5 friends. 2 of them were Christians. Together, they managed to collect information about the whereabouts and actions of the Turkish troops. This intelligence was forwarded to the British. They developed a network with 40 spies, and they became the largest and most important supplier of intelligence of this region for the British. It is thanks to Nili that eventually the British won the war against the Turks. Sarah coordinated all the activities in Palestine and Lebanon, as well as the finances of the group. She also supervised financial sponsorship from the states to help the impoverished Jewish population in Palestine. From the experimental farm in Atlit, they exchanged information and intelligence with a British ship that arrived from Egypt every 2 weeks along the coast. At one point, it became too dangerous for the ship to sail along the coast, so Sarah started using homing pigeons. The British advised her to escape and come to Egypt, but she refused. She didn't want to leave her friends and family behind. The Nili spying operation was partly financed by the British with golden coins. Some of this money appeared on the local market, and the Turks started to realize that something secret was going on under their nose. Avshalom Feinberg, one of the members of Nili and a dear friend to the Aaronsohn family, traveled to Egypt with important intel. As he was on his way, he was attacked and murdered by Bedouins in the desert. The Bedouins hastily buried his body. In the pockets of his pants, Abraham had dates, and from these pits grew palm trees. The Bedouins called this small oasis Kfar Yehudi, the place of the Jew. In 1976, an Israeli police officer traced back the improvised tomb and had the remains of Avshalom transferred and buried in the National Cemetery of Mount Herzl in Jerusalem, among other heroes who died for Israel. And then, one day, a homing pigeon that Sarah had sent with important secret information was intercepted, and the Turks managed to decrypt the code and to trace the pigeon back to Sarah. She and 2 of her friends were arrested. Her 2 friends were sent to Damascus, where they were hanged. Sarah was held imprisoned and tortured, but she didn't speak. Even when the Turks brought her father in prison and tortured him in front of her, she didn't break. When she was told she would be transferred to Damascus to be tortured and hanged, she asked to pass by her house to change clothes. When she arrived in her house, she managed to write a farewell letter. In this letter, she wrote she had no strength left to endure the torture and that she aspired only for her people and their well-being. Then she fetched a small gun that was hidden behind a tile in the bathroom and she shot herself. She died after 4 days of terrible suffering. She was buried in Zichron Yaakov, where her tomb is until today, and she has become an iconic figure in Israel of courage, determination, and force. When this COVID-19 period will be behind us, I will be happy to guide you in the lovely town of Zichron Yaakov. The house where Sarah grew up is still there and has been turned into a fascinating museum. Nothing has changed since Sarah died. Even the hiding place for the small gun is still visible. The house stands in the main street as it was built and designed in the time of the Baron of Rothschild. Other sites to visit in Zichron Yaakov are the synagogue, Ohel Yaakov, meaning the tent of Yaakov, as well as a museum about this group of immigrants that arrived here in 1882. And at the end of the day, it is nice to unwind in one of the wine bars and to have a glass of excellent local wine and remember the courage and bravery of Sarah Aaronsohn, who died at the age of 27. Yes, Sarah became a spy and fought for the victory of the British because she envisioned that this country could become a safe haven for Jews. That is why it is important to remember her and to know about her. I hope you enjoyed this movie. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Facebook under the name Private Guide Jerusalem Leontine Cohen Pauka. Private Guide Jerusalem Leontine Cohen Pauka. I will be back with another movie next week. A big thank you to my editor Shlomo Cohen. Bye bye.